Welcome. Let me go through the spiel, and I'm sure you've heard it all before many times. It is 2:30 in the afternoon, and this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we are at the 47th CALLERLAB Convention in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, like I said. And this is the session on hexagon dancing. My name is Vernon Jones, and I'm going to give a short introduction prelude to hexagons, and then we'll turn it over to Eric Henerlau from, is it Law? We're going to turn it over to Eric from California here. And then he's going to go a little more in depth to what we're talking about. So many people have heard of hex squares, and some people have seen them, but a lot of people don't understand them. Now then, I've already heard, how can it be hex and it be a square? Well, you know, we're simplifying it as best we can. You can have octagon squares. Now then, that's not really a square now, is it? But it's still square dancing, and the same is true with hexagon squares. We still refer to them as squares. There are two different mindsets on how to do hexagon dancing. One, and the powers that be, and it's not a CALLERLAB, you know, program or whatever, so it has nothing to do with CALLERLAB, but they refer to them, if you look them up, as an East Coast, West Coast thing. I don't like doing that because it reminds me of the rap wars during the 1990s of East Coast versus West Coast, and we know what happened with that. If you're into that, which I'm not, but I do know what happened to it. It's a belief of dancing hexagons to a proper Alaman left and a proper right and left grand to end properly at home. That's the proper way to do it. But you can also dance hexagon squares to a regular square dance, okay? I'm surprised that a hexagon square didn't pop up last night at the SSD dance and even at the advanced dance. And possibly tonight, I don't know what kind of dancing is going on tonight. I know there's a challenge, but I think there's also like an overseas or out of this world or whatever they're calling it. What?
Near and far. Near and far.
Near and far. Well, that could be here and there. And it wouldn't surprise me if a hexagon square doesn't pop up there. Because you can, like I said, you either can dance to hexagons and get back home, or you can just dance hexagons to regular dancing. And I'm going to touch a little bit on that and show you some of the things that we're talking about, and then Eric's going to go into a little more in-depth look and with some modules and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, in order to show you, as it's 2:30 in the afternoon on the second day of the convention, and you haven't been on your feet enough, you know, I'm going to need 6 couples to get up and let them be my guinea pigs. So I need 12 people.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and sold out.
Did that work? Did the countdown work? I'll tell you right now, we don't have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need another couple. Wait a minute, time out, Teresa. You want an action shot?
Oh yeah, action please.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. Now then, how many has ever danced 6 couples in a square where you've got 4 heads and 2 sides? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is not that. Okay. This is true hexagon dancing. In a regular square, you have how many heads and sides? 2 apiece, correct?
Yep.
And I'm going to jump right in the middle here. In a hexagon square, you have 3 and 3. Okay. Now then, we're just assuming that the caller is going to be here because that's where the microphone situation is. And couple number 1 is in the correct place, and that's the only one that is, as far as squares are concerned, okay? But going to their right, just like we always do, couple number 2 is Couple number 3 is. Couple number 4 is. And then here comes, not heads. Here comes the screw in the, here's where the hiccup usually begins. Couple number 5 is a what? Is a head, and couple number 6 is a correct. Correctamundo. Now then, one of the things that you need to learn, and if you've ever seen hex dancing going on, is that it's always common to identify amongst the group here whose heads and whose sides. What does anybody know what the universal signal for what is a head and what is a side? Well, gee, that's tough. That's his head.
And this is side.
And this is sides. Okay? And that's important in the group because in a regular square it's easily identifiable, but in a hex square it's not. Okay? It's very easy for this head and this not head to feel like they are going to have to want to do things with each other, okay? And that's simply not the truth. Now then, I put this cone here, and I'm going to stand here because this is a very important area right here. And it's so important that you don't want to be in it, okay? I think I read Eric's paper, and he quotes Andy Alameo as saying, this is the vortex, okay? Yeah, I printed Clark Baker's paper, and it'll be available here shortly. We're not going to give them out now because then all you do is spend your time reading the papers. He refers to it as a black hole, okay? I refer to it as this is a force field right here that's going to repel you away, okay? Repel you away. So, let's just go over some quick, now we're going to have time to go through every single move, okay? We're just giving you a little bit to get going. Eric's going to go a little bit more in depth of it. We're just getting a general idea. How many in this square, even though it's a hex, have danced 6 couple hexagon squares before? Okay. Okay. But we do have some newbies, and that's okay, right? That's good. You agree? That's okay, right? All right. All right. So, we have to take a little bit of liberty with the definitions in this case, if that only makes sense, and we can do that. We also have to relegate ourselves to understanding that we are going to underachieve, and that's a great thing.
Oh, that's really tough for you.
I fit that category real well. Head couples go forward and back. Oh my gosh, there's 3 of them, isn't there? Okay? Head couples step into the middle again, and you'll see they have made a Y effect. Can you see that? Okay, we've got this Y going on here, and that Y is never ended. If the sides, they form a Y. Do you see that? Okay. All right, go ahead and step back. Let's look at, and I'm going to talk primarily about dancing hex squares while their other group is dancing the regular squares. Okay? Because how many times have we been to a dance where we see, I don't know, 4 or 5 squares square up, and then there's 2 couples over here holding up 2 fingers, and they need 2 couples, and they ain't 2 couples to be had. Well, if enough people in the group know how to dance hex, well, then they can join in and not have to sit out. And that always irritates me. It doesn't irritate me. It makes me sad to have people sit out because they have to. So I'm going to be talking primarily on how to dance hex squares at the regular dance. And if the dance, I don't know what the program tonight is going to be called for the here and there dance. What is it?
Here and far.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But if it's going to be, just regular, like mainstream dancing or whatever, then perhaps you may want to give this a try. How many times have we, and I've got ahead of myself. When you dance a hexagon square at the regular square dance, part of our goal, the main part of our goal should be, as dancers, we're working together and then having a good time as we work together as a team to execute our dance moves. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. All right. And hopefully we end up at home. It's not always our fault. Sometimes it's, the caller's fault. But when you're dancing hex squares, the team focus should be 95% on executing the dance moves, because you're probably not going to end up at home. You're probably not going to end up with your partner, but if we execute the dance moves correctly, heads will always remain heads, and sides will always remain sides. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. We hear this singing call figure all the time. Heads promenade halfway. Now wait a minute. Let's break it down, and we got to make it simple, okay? Let's think about what they're really doing. If we were in a regular square and I was a head couple and we had two sides and we were to promenade halfway, we know where halfway is. Would you agree?
Yep.
All right. But now we have to take a little bit of liberty and underachieve. Let's look at what we're actually doing. Head couples are passing one side couple and filling the next head couple spot. You agree?
Yes.
All right. Who are the heads here? Here, here, and here. If you were to pass one side couple and fill the next head spot, where would that be? Head couples.
There.
Correctly. Side couples, you'd still come into the middle, wouldn't you? I'm still going to be the barrier. I am the bouncer. I'm going to keep you from coming into the middle and getting sucked into the black hole. You don't want to do that, all right? Heads promenade halfway. Now, believe it or not, that heads promenade halfway, even though it wasn't a true halfway, still fulfilled the same thing that a regular heads would promenade halfway would, and you would be surprised at how close to the actual timing it really is. Okay? Now then, usually you hear heads promenade halfway. Don't do it again. Heads promenade halfway. This is the standard Ferris wheel figure, by the way. Heads promenade halfway and come into the middle and square through 4. Okay? Here's where problems can occur, and you've got to remember, I'm going to keep you bouncing out. Heads come into the middle. Now they're going to start to square through. Now then, you usually start with the person right in front of you, right? But there's nobody right in front of you. But let's think about what they're doing. You start, if the heads were to square through, you square through with the first person in your group who's not your partner. Okay? This is where you've got to repel. Okay? Where is the next person in your group that's not your partner? Okay? Well, it's here. Can you see that? It's here. Can you see that? It's here. Can you see that? Okay? When, after you did a square through 4 in the middle, would it make sense that you end up looking at a side couple? Of course you do. The same thing's going to happen here. Okay, ready? Head square through 4.
Well, goodness.
Hey, how did that happen?
Oh my goodness.
I'll be darned. We're all looking at a side couple like we normally do, correct?
I like this.
Now then, when you're in this grid, and you've got two couples looking at each other like this, all other dance moves are the same. Okay? We can do all kinds of things, touch, quarter, scoot back, blah, 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 anything we want to do from here, everything's the same. Yes?
Are the heads now considered the ones in the middle?
The heads are not considered the ones in the middle. The heads are the ones in the middle. You agree?
Three of us.
Doesn't change.
You agree?
Yeah.
Those are the 3 head couples, correct?
There's
All
just
right.
3 of us instead of 2.
Okay, right and left through. Do that.
Right?
Veer.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Correct.
Veer left. Oh my goodness, things just got real complicated in a
Do the
hurry.
right thing.
You're in the right place.
Okay.
This is where hiccups usually occur. We're going, don't do it, we're going to do a Ferris wheel. That's the standard Ferris wheel figure that we always see in singing calls, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. For 2 of these couples who are looking out,
Another guy dancing.
do you have a blowout?
Yeah.
I need a male dancing person. There are 3 couples. This is a great thing. I'm never getting rid of this cane when I get my head fixed. For 3 of these couples, this one, that one, that one, the ones that are looking out, their Ferris wheel is going to be like a normal Ferris wheel. Okay? It's the 3 couples looking in that we're going to have to underachieve. Now then, the 3 couples looking in on a regular Ferris wheel, the 2 couples looking in, they come in and they wheel, correct? Wheel and deal with each other, and they end up with another couple behind them. Okay? All right. The 3 couples who are looking in, I want you to come into the middle now. Don't do anything yet. All right? The 3 couples who are looking out, I want you to do your Ferris wheel just like you would normally do. Okay? All right. Now then, if we did that correctly, the girls should be in here with their right hands, kind of like, don't touch me, but you get what I'm saying, okay? Because y'all are going to wheel, correct? So you should be here. You should be there, Richard. Okay? And I'm going to step out of the way. And the girls should be able to touch right hands, just like they would normally do on a Ferris wheel. You agree? All right. They would wheel until they had a side couple behind them. Now, let's look at that. This couple is going to wheel. Where's the first side couple to you? Correct. Where's the first side couple to y'all? Correct. Where's the first side couple to y'all? Correct. Finish the Ferris wheel. Go. Can we see that? Okay. Now then, could we do a double pass through from here? Sure, we're not going to. Maybe we will here in a minute. We're not going to, but we could. Okay. Can everybody see the path that everybody would take? Let's look at that. Okay. I'm just talking about double pass through right now. We're going to finish the Ferris wheel figure here in just a second. But if we were to double pass through, these people would walk forward, but remember, I'm a force field, I'm going to repel you out. So these two ladies, their path would be that way. Can you see that? Oh. And the same way with everybody else. It's going to repel each person towards the angle, towards the ever-present Y. It's very well defined here now. Can you see it? Okay, we're not going to do one just yet. We're going to finish the standard Ferris wheel figure. After the standard Ferris wheel figure, it has a square through 3. Okay, so there's only 3 of you who can, so square through 3. 1, 2, 3. Now then, we have just done the standard Ferris wheel figure that is in every singing call practically for the last 15 years. Okay? Not all, there's always exceptions, but practically every singing call that there is. And the caller would say to the rest of the squares, and to you also, swing the corner. Don't swing the corner, we know how to do that. But go ahead and pretend like you just did swing the corner, and you're about to promenade. Does that make sense? So get ready to start promenade. Hopefully with the boys on the inside and the girls on the outside.
I don't know where I started.
It doesn't make a difference. Hold on. All right. Here's where we got to underachieve. Okay? All the sides with their new dance partner, okay, are at the head. All the side boys are basically where they started. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. All right. The head boys are just mixed up all over the place, and that's all right. But if you were to promenade, and most promenades go past one head spot, go to the next head spot. Does that make sense? Same thing with the sides. Past one side spot, go to the next side spot. Okay? Can everybody figure out where they're going without me pointing? Okay? Correct. Okay, promenade, go. Past one, go to the next. And what do you do when you get home?
Face in.
You face in like you normally do. Now then, who ended up back in their original spot?
Number 1 guy.
Just the number 1 guy?
And it's
All the head guys are back in their original spots. Isn't that something?
that's true. Yeah.
Okay? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it don't. But we all completed the dance sequence. Would you agree?
Right.
That all the other squares are already dancing. Okay? Have you done what we need to do to identify ourselves? Who are the heads? Who are the sides? Okay? Girls have changed heads and sides. Is that correct? Okay? And if you're going to do this, we need to be, strong. Okay? All right. Here comes another one. Okay? Let's work the sides this time. Side couples. We hear this singing. This is the standard spin the top figure. Sides, who are y'all? Sides come into the middle and come back. Now, we wouldn't do the singing call that way, but that just identified yourselves. Sides, square through 4. Again, I'm the force field. I'm going to have to go around you. I'm not going to let you come through me. 4. And you end up in front of another couple, yeah? Swing through, do that. Spin the top. Right and left through. We've heard it a jillion times. Just like normal. Square through 3. Swing the corner.
No, side you.
And we're going to promenade, okay? We're going to pass one and go to the next. Ready? Promenade, go. Yay.
Yay.
Anybody back at home now?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
The side guys are at home.
I'm confused.
Okay, hold on. The side guys are at home. Or the head guys back at home?
We're at a head spot.
You're at a head spot. Yes, you're not as confused as you thought you were.
I am still confused.
Okay, what are you confused about?
So, I started there,
Yep.
the head spot.
Yep.
You said I was supposed to pass one head spot
And then go to the next.
No, you pass one spot, go to the next. You pass one spot, go to the next. Because that's probably what the regular squares are doing, okay? And plus, the regular squares have a shorter distance to travel than we do. And our main objective is to get to a spot, get identified, and be ready for the next call.
Okay, so it just, so if
you-
size promenade halfway past this spot and then another.
Correct. And even if you swung your corner right here, you would promenade past one spot and go to the next. Identify yourself so we'll all be ready to go. Okay? Yes?
If we start off as sides, as I did, do we remain sides for the entire?
Yes. In pattern, okay, the side ladies will always be sides, the side men will always be side, and the same for the heads. Because that's what usually happens in pattern. You agree?
Right.
Okay. In singing calls, the girls switch. Okay, they rotate. All right.
So it's important.
There we go.
It's
There we go.
the girl, what she is.
Correct. And that's where boys, y'all need to be leaders. If you get a new girl, you need to remind her, I'm a head boy, so you are a head boy, and vice versa. Okay? All right. We're going to have the heads do a right and left through. Don't do it yet. But and these movements that we're doing applies to regular hex dancing also. Okay? Heads are going to do a right and left through. We know what the definition says. You extend your right hand, you dance by, and you courtesy turn the person next to you. Okay? Let's make that simple. What are they really doing? They right hand dance by, and they courtesy turn the person closest to them. Okay? Now, head couples, y'all's right and left through is going to be repelled, right? You agree? All right. Let's see what happens. Heads, right and left through.
Retreat this way. Whoa.
That's slicker than snot, ain't it? Sides, y'all want to do one? Sides, right and left through. Yeah, that's correct. Nothing to it, right? Head couples. We're going to have you pass the ocean.
I knew that was coming up.
It has to. We're going to have you pass the ocean, okay? Now then, if two couples are facing and they pass the ocean, we know what the definition says. You pass through, you face in, you step to a right-handed wave, right? It's a three-part call, you agree? Okay. Here's where we're going to underachieve. The heads are going to pass through, and they're going to not turn and face in, but they're going to turn until they find somebody new in their group and step to a wave with them. Okay, who are the heads?
To be a anyway.
Yep, correct. Okay, so who it heads? If you pass through, who are you going to do it with? Can you see? Okay. So heads, pass through. Do that much for me. Come on. Find the first person and step to a wave with them. And I know I'm in the way, but if I was out of the way, the girls would join left hands at this point. You agree? All right. Now then, it kind of looks like a boat propeller, doesn't it?
So you want to spin the top now?
We could. Okay, but it kind of looks like a boat propeller. You agree? Okay, if the girls were holding left hands, it looks like a boat propeller. After you have somebody from a static square past the ocean, usually you hear extend. Okay, now I'm going to get back in the middle. Can you see where you would go on an extend? Huh? Yeah? Extend. Correct. Okay, don't worry about him. He's not in your group. There's your group. Still kind of forms a triangle, doesn't it?
Right.
Which is still has the Y effect. You agree?
Yes.
Swing through. Boy running around a girl. And we hear all the time couples circulate, don't do it? Okay? Okay? For 3 of you, your couple circulate is going to be real easy. For the 3 that are looking out, your couple circulate is going to be to that couple that's right next to you. You agree? Can you see that? For 3 of you, your couple circulate is going to be not quite as far. Can you see where you're going? Can you see where you're going? Same thing over here. Can we see that? Okay, couple circulate. Correct. Now I think, there you go. There you go. There you go. We're going to do a Ferris wheel. Okay? Okay? Oh wait, I'm hearing wait a minute. That's all right. For 3 of you, the ones that are looking out, your Ferris wheel is going to be like normal. For you 3 who are looking in, you're going to come in and wheel until you have a couple behind you. And we're all going to go at the same time. And I'm going to stand in the middle, and I promise you're not going to have any problems going where you need to go. Everybody ready? Ferris wheel. Beautiful. That's exactly right. Now we're going to do a double pass through. And I'm going to stand in the way. When you pass somebody, you pass them which shoulder?
Right.
Just like normal. Okay? It's all normal.
It's all normal.
Can you see where I'm going to repel you out and what your walk path is going to be? Can we see that? Double pass through. Beautiful. Everybody California twirl. I'm not going to go into centers, any cast off and all this kind of stuff. I just don't have time to do that today. Okay? All right. Where are all the head couples? Are all the girls in the middle heads? Original heads, rather? Okay. Are all the boys on the outside? I mean, on the inside, original heads? Okay. Do we have original sides and original heads on the outside too? Zoom. Square through 3. Now then, I have reverted to pattern, okay? Alaman left. That's what you hear all the time, right? Right and left grand. Now in a regular square, how many hands does right and left grand have on it?
4.
It has 4. You're going to promenade the 5th. You're going to skip one place and go to the next. No, with the girl you got. There we go. Who are the heads?
Don't tell them.
They know. Who are the sides? Correct. Are the head boys, are all the boys back where they started from? Huh? Is that your original head?
Yes. No, sorry.
Your side. The original side boys are back where they started from. Okay, the original head boys are not, but that's okay because we're executing what everybody else is executing. Okay? Now I can get you there if you want to have fun. Okay? Head boys, where'd y'all start at? Over there? Heads, again, right and left through. Are you back? Shoot, unto it. Okay. Now then, again, this is dancing with regular squares. The regular squares over there are dancing like they would normally do. Our goal here and our satisfaction should come from being able to dance and execute all the dance moves while everybody else is dancing regularly. Okay? Maybe not to end up back at home, but heads always were heads and sides were always were sides, except during the singing call when the girls rotated. You agree? All right. Let's give this square a nice hand for helping. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and he's going to go a little bit further. I don't know if the square needs a break, or if we need to get new, or whatever. If you're
Why
tired,
don't you guys sit down for a minute anyway, then we'll then get you back up this side.
there we go.
But don't go too far.
Fantastic.
So, all right. So Vernon covered a lot of material I wanted to cover, but I'm going to cover a little bit of a different angle here. This session is about hexagons. It's about hexagon dancing. And there's two aspects of that for this group. One, if you've never danced hexes before, we're showing you what hexagon dancing is. The second is showing you as callers how to use this with your groups if you want to teach hexagons to your groups. Okay, that's a different level. So first is showing you what a hexagon is. Vernon did a great job of that. The second is really showing you how you can use this with your groups. And like anything, a little bit of a spice goes a long way. So unless the group is really into this stuff a lot, and I only know one group that is, you know, a little bit is fine. You wouldn't want to pound them over the head with hexagons. It can get tiring after a while. As I mentioned earlier, Andy Alameo in San Diego, California, he is pretty much considered the king of hex right now because he does it every week with a group for like 2 hours a week. He's got a group, they dance 2 hours a week to hexagons. That's what they do. He just loves doing it, and they like doing it too. He's just very, very good at it. So if you are requested at some point, hey, let's do a hex tip, you should know how to be able to explain this to your dancers, how to teach them how to do it. And that's part of what this session is about. As you've seen already, the hexagons we're doing are true hexagon shapes, like a stop sign with 6 sides. In contrast, we used to call rectangles hexagons. Remember in the old days, we put 6 couples together, 4 heads and 2 sides, and we call it a hexagon. Well, that's wrong. It's really a rectangle. It's not a hexagon at all. So a true hexagon is what you saw here. The hexagon shape has those couples at 120-degree angles to each other, which who cares, but that's what it is, right? So that's the shape of it. And Vernon already laid out how they're identified: head size, head size, head size. What Vernon is saying is very, very important. When a hex is dancing at a dance where the caller is calling 2 squares, the hexagon can dance as well and be successful and end up heads being with heads and sides being with sides to resolve out. They won't necessarily get their partner, but they'll end up heads and heads and sides and sides. If you want to set up with your dancers a hexagon and call to that hexagon so you resolve back to their partners, that's a different story. That's what we're going to talk about now. Okay? So, we have handouts here, which we will give out toward the end because I don't want you to say they're reading them all right now, but I'm going to cover the materials in the handout. I wrote up something here, and Vernon brought copies of something. Clark Baker, who also worked on hexagons 20 years ago, who wrote up a paper much more detailed and much smaller print, 20 years ago, and actually covers very similar material. We just had the same thought process here on this. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit more about the theory of the hexagon, if that's all right with you, so you can understand, so you can explain it to your dancers when you do that. All right, so if we can get that hex set back up again, can we do that, please? And in the end, I'll probably try to show you a little bit about side calling the hexes, so you can understand how to do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Cease from California. I danced years ago to Clark as he presented this at a national, and he started out in the first tip. In the first tip, we were in triangles. He actually had 3 couples, and he worked us in triangles, so you got used to working on the diagonal, and then the very next tip, he put hexes in, and boy, I thought I'd never thought of that. Is that a way to do it, or is it just better to get them up in hexes?
I couldn't say it was a better or worse way of doing it. It's analogous to doing 2 couple dancing before you did a square. Okay. So if you think it's better to teach 2 couples before you do a square, then we would do it that way. I want to add one more thing, and Vernon touched on this briefly. You can do this kind of dancing with any number of even couples. So a square is 4 couples, a hex is 6 couples, an octagon is 8 couples, a decagon is 10 couples, and so on. You can do this. The theory expands out infinitely. Obviously, once you get past an octagon, it's ridiculous. I did an octagon once, and it was slow and cumbersome, but we did it. It was kind of interesting. It was really strange. But hexagon is, so all the theories apply. All the same theories apply. And what Vernon's saying is about that underachieving part. It's when you get into the middle, in certain parts of the hex, you're doing 2/3 of what you normally would do. 2/3. Now, you don't have to sit there and figure out the math in your head, but just understand you're doing 2/3 of what you normally would do. Like you said with that Ferris wheel, you're not quite getting all the way in there to do it, getting 2/3. And we talked about that center part, that vortex or the black hole you never go through. That's true in a square, too. They're in the very center of a square. Nobody's ever going through the very center of a square, right? Never. They can't. They always go around, right? Same thing true in a hex. But the reason we emphasize it in the hex is because there's a very strong tendency for dancers to want to go the wrong way and move right through that center part into some other direction they shouldn't be going. And if they end up doing that, they're obviously going the wrong way. And that's kind of a reminder, don't go through the center. Just stay away from the center. We don't usually have to tell people that in a square because it's more obvious you're lined up with the walls. And speaking of lining up with the walls, in a hex, only 2 couples will always be lined up with the walls, and the other 4 couples won't be. That's important because people always want to line up with the walls. Because we train them to line up with the walls. You always, good dancers line up with the walls. But you can see only 2 couples are lined up with the walls. The other 4 are not. And that's going to be true throughout the entire hex dancing. You'll find that you'll find 4 couples lined up with the walls, or 2 couples lined up with the walls somewhere, and the other 4 couples not. They're somewhere. It should be at some 60-degree or something relative type angle to them, right? You don't have to worry about that, but just be aware of that. Dancers want to correct that. They always want to correct that and line up evenly in squares and right angles and all that. You can't do that in a hex necessarily. You really have to look at the footprints and pay attention to the formation and what you're doing. So that said, I want to talk a little bit about actually calling to a hex, not calling a square and having the hex apply it, but actually calling to the hex as you are my primary dancers. Okay. So Vernon's already gone through the hex identification. Head side, head side, head side, head side. You all got that, right? The cool thing is when we're done with this, we get to say the one phrase you never get to say, which is hex your set. Yes. You normally say square your set, but I say hex your set. And I want to back up a little bit of history here is the East Coast, West Coast thing. The West Coast thing, the first time I heard about that was Bill Eiler's group. Bill Eiler took hex dancing and he created his idea of hex dancing where he modified the definition of the call completely to fit inside a hex in the way that he interpreted it should work in a hex. So we actually changed the definition of the call. Clark Baker, or I say the East Coast side, they said, no, here are the square dance calls, apply like a mathematical rule, 2/3 or whatever, and just do that call within it. And so, as far as I know, Bill Eiler is the only one doing that kind of hex, and I don't think anybody's actually doing that kind anymore. So really, the only kind we're doing is the kind where we take the actual square dance calls and apply the modification of the 2/3 or whatever needs to be done in real time to get it done. The other two options are one, either the caller is calling to the square and the hex is dancing it and trying to just get whatever they can get, or the caller is calling to a hex because it's a hex dance. Like Andy calls for a hex dance, 2 hex dancers, and he resolves the hex every time to the partner. So that's how I do it when I'm teaching and then calling to hex. And I get every festival I go to, they always find out that I do hexes. I always get assigned an hour intro to hex session, which is fine. I do that at national, I do it at festivals, and it's fine. I enjoy doing it. And so I keep true to the calls, and I do exactly what the calls are. The only one call I modify is right, left, grand. So right, left, grand, I had to go 6 hands so you get back to your partner. Because I'm going to resolve you all the way back to your partner, all the way back to your home. Does that make sense? So it's a little different. So I'm not calling to a square, I'm calling to you as the hex people, all right? So it turns out in hexagons, like squares, it's all symmetrical, and you can do all kinds of things that are just modular, and they fit in the same way. So I want to kind of go through this a little more in depth, and for people who haven't seen this before, it's important. Head step into the middle. So we touched on this. Vernon talked about the square through. And when you're doing an action, you're turning your back slightly on your partner to do that, and you're going 4 hands. So hands square through 4 hands. Turn your back slightly. Turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, normally in a square setup, you're not facing your corner. Of course, you're not facing your corner here. You're facing some other couple, right? But we have this box formation. We can do all kinds of box line calls in this group before. Nothing is different. See how 2 couples are lined up with the walls? The other 4 couples are not. It's important. Okay, do a right or left through. Pass through. Now in the center couples, this is usually where the squares fall apart. The centers, if they're not strong dancers and they're asked to pass through, that one person here is going to go right through that vortex if they're not strong. And that's really where you want to keep them out of there. So, centers pass through, the others do a partner trade. There's your corner, Alaman left. Come back and hex your set. All right, does that make sense so far? Sides walk into the middle. Sides, you're going to turn your back slightly on your partner to do this. Square through 4 hands. You face the outside couple. I could have you do all kinds of little zero movements in here, like swing through boys, run wheel, and deal, all that stuff. It'll all work fine, right? Do it right or left through. Pass through. So now I'm just going to call the call trade by. The center key will know that to not go through the vortex, right? Trade by. There's your corner. Out on that left. Come back and hex your set. So far, so good. So when you're doing the calls around the outside, when you get the dancer to the outside boxes or waves or lines, doing those kind of movements over there are really easy because they feel like a regular square. When dancers get into the middle, that's where it gets trickier. Vernon did Pass the Ocean, and we saw that was, normally Pass the Ocean is a pretty easy call, right? Can you imagine what flutter wheel would look like in here?
Fun.
Yeah, flutter wheel would be a very difficult call for the first timer to do this thing. So anything that's going to happen in the middle of the hex, you're going to be doing 2/3 or underachieving what you would normally do. You really have to think that out to do that. So we're not going to touch on that right now. Heads square through 4 hands. In a minute, I'm going to ask everybody to start tracking sights, but we'll come back to that in a minute, okay? Do the right or left through. Veer left. So Vernon was talking about that Ferris wheel coming in here into that spot. One of the teaching techniques I use is for the couple looking in to look ahead to the couple looking out to the left and know that that couple will be looking at their backs when they're done. So it's pretty clear how it's going to be. Ready? Ferris wheel. That couple better be looking at your back. Okay. Centers pass through. Do the right or left through. Veer left. Again, I'm going to re-emphasize to the couple looking in. Look ahead to your left. You can see that couple. They're going to be looking at your back when you're done. Ready? Ferris wheel. Good. Centers pass through. Swing through. Boys run. Bend the line. Star through. Pass through. Out on that left for the corner. Come back and hex your set. All right. Does that make sense so far? It's a very quiet room here. Either everybody's really fascinated or really tired. I don't know. All right. So where I'm going to pick these 3 couples of my side couples here, okay? A couple 6, 1, and 2. I call these, based on CSDS here. All right, 6, 1, and 2. They're my side couples, and I'm going to use them for side calling in a minute. But first, I'm going to talk about some modules. Standard modules, what? Head square through 4, and there's your corner, out on my left. That's easy, right? But if we do head square through 4 here, that's not your corner, is it? So head square through 4 here. Go. Not your original corner. Do a right or left through. What's my get out? Pass through. Trade by. Out on my left. Okay? So it was similar, but I had to get the right and left through, pass through, trade by in there to make it work. All right, let's work the sides on this thing. Side couples, are you ready? Sides square through 4. By the way, this is all in the handout. All right. So, do the right or left through. Pass through. Trade by. Out on my left. So I took the equivalent head square through 4 out on my left and put it in the hex equivalent, which is head square through, right, left through, pass through, trade by. Okay. All right. Sides. Well, here's another one. If I say side square through 4, there's your corner box, right? If I say pass through, trade by, pass through, trade by, out on my left again, right? It almost works that way here. Side square through 6. And there you are looking at your corner. But it's not 2 pairs of pass through, trade by, it's 3 pairs. Pass through, trade by, pass through, trade by, pass through, trade by, element left. Promenade home. So the hex adds more layers into this thing. Okay? And when I say promenade home, your original home layer. Good. Some modules are exactly the same in a hex, they are a square, and the two that I came up with, or 2 or 3 for the handout, were plus double calls. I'll come back to those later though. Head star through.
Yes.
There you go. So, if we're going to do this, we're going to do a double pass through. Of course, we're going to miss the vortex in the middle. And I want to emphasize for the dancers here that they're going to be veering. They have veering directions. So the boys are veering to the left going out, the girls are veering to the right, passing right shoulders. Double pass through. Okay? Oh, don't clap, it's really quiet time right now. California twirl, or partner straight, whatever you feel like. Okay? Double pass through. Do a partner trade. I'm going to stop here and break for a second. I said, if you call that kind of material to a square over and over again, they get really bored. What really boring material, double pass through, partner trade, square through 4, element, it sounds very boring, right? In a hex, it is not boring at all. This is fascinating to the dancers. I know, as a dancer, because they have to figure this out as they're going along. So what seems like really simple, easy material to us is actually very interesting for the dancers to dance. Double pass through, because everything feels different, right? Do a partner trade. I mean, this is like, well, that sounds boring. Well, who would call that? It sounds really boring in a mainstream dance, right? Double pass through, right? But every time they do it, it feels different because it keeps shaking up. Do a partner trade. Good. Zoom. That's easy because you're working in your box of 4, right? Zoom again. Double pass through. Okay. Do a partner trade. Double pass through. Lead couple do a partner trade. Allen Island for the corner. Come back and hex your set. All right. Does that make sense though? That stuff you think will be really boring is actually really interesting in a hex. It really is, because you don't have to get very complicated. You don't have to get wild and crazy about it. You just do simplest things. And it's fun to do in a hex. All right. So that makes sense so far? When I'm doing hexes, there's a couple of calls I use a lot that are mainstream calls that I find that mainstream dancers can't do anymore. Pass to the center, 8-chain N, just any 8-chain 2, 4, 6, and even just sometimes the pass through trade by. But if I just get them to do the 8-chain N and pass to the center, I'm a happy camper. Because nobody wants to do dive through, right? They'd rather do pass to the center. But if your dancers can't do 8-chain N, it's really going to fall apart in a hex. Head square through 4 hands. Because really isn't 8-chain N some variation of pass through, trade by, all the way down the line, right? So do an 8-chain 4, go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good.
So you guys did it
You're kind of going.
pretty well. See, but that's good because you did exactly what most dancers do. They don't know where to stop. That center hand is gone. They do the left hand turn. They try to do a courtesy turn there. It doesn't work. They've got to do clean pull-bys. They have to do clean courtesy turns on the outside. This is just going to fall apart in 2 seconds, right? Do an 8-chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice courtesy turn.
Nice clean turns, okay? Very, very nice. Okay, 8-chain 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you'll find the dancers will count that out loud too. Remember how to get there too. Okay. Everybody pass through. Trade by. You're looking at somebody to see where we are over there. Well, I can check out, lose track. So, yeah, pass through.
Yes, sir.
Trade by. If you do this enough times, you eventually get to your corner, right? But let's not do that. Star through. We have lines. We have lines, or we have boxes. We can have either. So here we have the boxes facing, right? And there's always going to be a hex adjust. The hex adjust will make it into a line. So if you guys stand back a little bit, and you can form those lines. Now we have this giant triangle. So, Richard, you want to move in a little bit? Because you're not going to be like, only these couples are lined up with the walls. See the true triangle here? Okay, great. So now you can do your hex adjust. It's called a hex adjust. And go back into your boxes. So you let go of the hands, now you're back in your boxes. It's the same thing. You get the box and you get the lines, right? Do the right on it through. Good. Pass the ocean. Recycle. You can do all day long this kind of stuff, right? Sweep and quarter more. Right on left through. Right back to where you were, right? Star through. There's nothing going on here, right? Do the right on left through again. 8 chain 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There you are, good. You're facing somebody, good. Swing through. Boys run. Now if I do a wheel and deal, that brings it back to a 0, right? That's an easy 0. But if I do a Ferris wheel and pass through, that is not a 0. That will change everything up. Yeah. There's a couple right here in front of you to your left. There you go. But don't do that. Do a wheel and deal instead. I got to remember my sights on. I always said that before, right? Okay. Y'all have your partners with you? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Veer left. So a couple circulate is easy, right? Just move up to the next couple's footprints. Couple circulate. Do that. Okay. Bend the line. So this is one of 2 formations that are out of sequence lines. Partner lines out of sequence. But in regular squares, you only got partner lines out of sequence 1 formation. You see the partner lines in sequence or partner lines out of sequence. In hexes, you have partner lines in sequence, partner lines out of sequence 1, and partner lines out of sequence 2. This is one of 2 of them. Okay? Right? Does everybody see that? Everybody have the partner, right? Pass through. Bend the line. We have partner lines in sequence, right? Are we all in sequence? Are we? Okay?
Yes.
Does everybody agree we're in sequence? Yep. Pass through. Bend the line. We have partner lines out of sequence 2. This is the second out of sequence. But if you do enough pass through, bend the line with the partners, you'll eventually get back into partner lines in sequence. Pass through. Bend the line. Still partner lines out of sequence, right? Right. Pass through. Bend the line. Partner lines in sequence.
Right.
So now you pull a get out that you have for partner line in sequence, right? What's a good get out? I don't care. Well, you can do element left, right? You can do start through square through 3 or slide through square through 3. What's a column get out we do? Touch a quarter, circulate, boys run. Doesn't work here. Doesn't work here because it goes to the middle, right? Touch a quarter. Okay? So, if we're working our box of 4, it's not a problem. We know how to do that. But as soon as we do this, we're moving through this area into the other side of the hex, and it's going to change everything up, right? Column circulate.
Yes.
Boys run. It's not an element left, is it? No, it isn't. Good. So now I got to go on back down. Pass through. Trade by. Again, don't worry about boring the dancers with this. This is what you're always going through. You're doing a lot of stuff to find your corner again, right? Pass through, trade by, star through, touch a quarter, circulate. There you go. Boys run. Let's see. Pass. No. Pass through, trade by. Okay. And you can start to see it. You start to really start visualizing this. You can see where this is going, right? If I say pass through, trade by again, Barry and E are going to be back together. Do you see that? Okay. Ready? Pass through, trade by. Hey, there's 2 right there. One more. Pass through and element left. Come back and hex your set. Okay. So I'm kind of giving you, now, if you're not an accomplished sight caller with squares, don't try this with hexes, really. You have to be pretty good at sight calling squares to understand how to sight call a hex. All right, so I was wanting to give you that as kind of an opener on this thing, that it really is possible to call for hexes directly with your group. If your group wants something spicy, something a little different, and they're strong enough to do it, this is a good thing to do. I always recommend that you call a hex. I recommend that you call a hex one level below the level of your group. So if you have a mainstream group that's good mainstream, call a basic hex. If you have a plus group, call mainstream. Advanced calls. Why? Because as the calls get more involved, more complicated, and you reach the level of their normal ability, the hex is just going to make it that much harder for them, unless they're really accomplished hex dancers. Now, some can do it. That's not. But I'm just saying in general, just do it that way. If you are asked to do an intro to hex session at a dance or a festival, this is a good way to start, because you can do this and do an intro session for an hour, say 3 or 4 hex sets during that time, and just walk through simple stuff that's just the basic pass-through, trade by, right and left through, all that stuff. Really simple basics, and you'll have a great time doing it. People have so much fun doing this stuff. Side square through 4. Okay? All right. So I've been calling pretty simple kind of chicken plucker type movements that move it around. What if we really mix it up? Swing through. Boys run. Girls trade. Boys circulate.
I was the next spot in sequence.
See what would have been a normally very easy call at a square turned into something more complex in a hex, right? Wheel and deal. Veer left. Ferris wheel. That couple's looking at your back. It takes a while for people to get used to this. Now the next call is going to be double pass through, which is where you're headed. Double pass through. All right, lead couple do a partner trade. 8 chain 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good, you're facing couples. Swing through. Boys trade. Girls circulate twice.
Once.
Boys run. Bend the line. Okay, I just try to pretty much shuffle the deck to see what's out there, okay? So now, how are we going to get out of this mess? Any ideas?
Here. You can use two-face lines.
Can you use anything? Okay. All right. Star through. The first thing I want to do is I want to start getting some couples lined up with each other, right? Okay, Barry and Anita are together. That's good. I got that. Okay.
Has to be 3.
Now I'm looking around going, yeah, you get a partner? Yeah, well, this is easy. Everybody's got their partner now. So everybody's partnered up. So now it's just getting them in a sequence and get out, right? Everybody see that? Everybody not see that? Veer left. Okay, bend the line. In or out of sequence? Out. Pass through. Bend the line. In or out of sequence? Out. Pass through. Bend the line. In or out of sequence?
In.
See it? Then you get the end. Okay, everybody see it? Okay, now let's really mix it up. Pass the ocean. I'm going to say all 8 circulate. There are 12 people in the square, but the call is named all 8 circulate, or appearance of circulate. Ready? All 8 circulate. Go ahead. Girls are in the middle, boys on the outside.
Yes, very good.
All 8 circulate again. Great.
Yeah, good.
Girls trade. Boys circulate. I don't know. Swing through. Okay. Boys run. Ferris wheel.
That one over there.
Yeah, there that couple's looking at your back. Okay, great. So what's the get out here? I don't know. I shuffled it up. Anybody see anything? So I'm looking at Barry and Anita, right? What's the call is going to get Barry and Anita together quickly?
Double pass through.
Yeah, I'm going to say center square through 3. Center square through 3. 1, 2, 3. Great, I got 2 people together. Fantastic. Slide through, and I got lucky. Everybody's got their partner. You see that? And we just go pass through, bend the line to get through that to the end.
You pair 1, you pair 3.
No, you pair 1, you pair 1. The other 2 could be somebody else. I just got lucky that time.
I mean, so you mean there's no symmetry? Like if you pair 1 couple.
Hold on, time out, guys.
wait.
Time out. If we're going to ask questions, let's do it over the microphone, please.
Oh, Scott Brown from Pittsburgh, PA. My question is there a symmetry to the hexagon so that if you pair 1 couple, you have 3 couples paired like you would in a square, or if you pair 1, you have 2 couples paired?
Okay. The symmetry is that if you pair 1 couple, their opposite will be paired, of course.
Okay.
But the other 2 couples could have the opposite leadings.
Yeah,
They
okay,
could.
okay.
So I got lucky that time. I just got lucky. Touch a quarter. You'll do it this way. Circulate. Boy run. Okay. I got Barry and Anita paired. Is anybody else paired? No. Nobody else is paired.
How's that coming?
Well, yeah, you might be a couple on the outside.
Yeah, they're paired.
They're paired. They're paired, but they're not, right? All right. So, swing through. Boys trade, girls circulate. Boys run. Bend the line. Who's paired?
Three couples.
Everybody's hurt? No, because you're not paired across there, right?
No.
Right. So we got two couples paired, but these couples are not. I have to know that. Pass through. Bend the line. Okay, so again, I got two couples paired there, and two couples not. Now your partner's over there, right? So there,
I think
symmetry issue? No, I get it. No, you're right. You're right.
I'll go with Richard.
Yeah. Okay. Right. All right. So pass the ocean. Recycle. Did we lose symmetry? Oh, by the way, if you lose symmetry on this thing, you're dead. Veer left. Yeah, we lost symmetry, didn't we?
Right, that was not right.
Yeah, well, you guys all have partners, right?
all the heads have partners.
The sides do not.
Yeah. So sides do not. So there's a symmetry issue here. All right, we're already asymmetric in this set here, and I'm not sure what happened. No, wait.
No,
Ned, who's your partner?
Richard.
Richard?
Yeah, I think
Sides are.
Yeah, sides should be.
The head should have
Okay,
have
wait,
partners.
you got your partner, right? Ooh.
No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, your partners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm on line. Do a Ferris wheel. Oh. Why aren't you wearing matching squirting outfits?
I don't know the rest as well.
It was easier in the old days. Centers pass through. Mark, you were the partner, right? No. That's where I'm losing it. Got it. I got it. Okay. Star through. Pass through. Bend the line. Good. I know those two are going to play. Pass the ocean. I'm feeling much better now. Swing through. What's my get out? Turn through.
Right.
Alabama left. There you go. Promenade home. All right. So we're almost done here. There's a handout with all this information. Some modules are exactly the same. I'm going to do one last one before we quit because it's just fun to do this. Heads lead right. Circle to a line. Good. You got lines looking in. Partner lines, right? Everybody do the right and left through.
Sorry.
Yes, very good.
I was looking down. What happened?
They did exactly.
Almost had a sex change.
All right. So, if I call from here past the ocean and spin chain and exchange the gears and recycle in a squared set, it's an element left. It's the same thing is true in a hexagon. Past the ocean. We're going to do spin chain and exchange the gears. When you get to that star in the middle, you're going to do 2/3 of what you normally do, right? So spin chain and exchange the gears, turn half, centers turn 3, the ends flip in. The very center 2, right here, we're going to turn the star 1/3 instead of a half.
No,
come in.
not you.
Not you. Stop right there. You're going to make the stars.
She's got to go. Back up, sir.
Back.
She's
There.
You're
Right there, right there,
there.
right.
You're right here.
And then make the left-hand star.
She's
Yeah, your left-hand star. Turn your left-hand star. Wait, did you get in here? Did you turn your star? Where's the 4th here for the star? There you go. And Ned, are you up here?
I think Richard needs to turn around.
We should be boys right across here. Where are the boys here? Your girl? Then you're a boy. You're a boy? Then you're right here. Ned, you're a girl?
Yes.
Right here. Flip in. Turn around. There you go. Good. Turn your stars 3/4, please.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Who's the leader? Who's the leader? You're not a leader. Here you go. And you're going to come over to where this other wave was over here. Follow them over here. Follow. And turn around, form the waves right there. And you have it. Good. Everybody recycle. Alabama with a corner. You promenade home. You would go through more explanations doing this with your dancers, right? How that call is going to end up. But and the same thing's true for spin chain the gears and relay the deucing too. They come up to be the same zeros. Okay. There are handouts up here with these modules in here, what you can use for your hexes. Everybody give this hex a nice hand. Agree? Does anybody have any questions? All right.
So I don't walk in a straight line.
You hand these out?
No questions or anything from anybody? Okay. Then Eric did a wonderful job. Again, handouts are available up here. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of the convention.